So, starting off, we want to say that we are not medical professionals. We don't know shit.
No.
So
these are just our opinions. What we think.
Especially since it's been so long since this case had taken place.
Exactly. And if you're not familiar with terms that we're using, or you're just not familiar with the story, we're just kind of giving our opinions on the background of what's happening.
A quick Google, the very first thing that pops up, I mean, you're going to find the story. So,
Welcome back to our channel. I'm Kaylee.
I'm Kellie.
And I know it's been a while since we've done one of these.
It's been a long while.
Yeah. Well, we're happy to be back.
Yes.
Sorry we look a little tired. This was kind of just like a...
spur of the moment.
Yeah, we were like, you know what? Let's make a fucking YouTube video, bruh. So that's what we're doing.
Today, we are going to be talking about the Gypsy Rose and Dede Blanchard case.
We've been watching The Act, which is out on Hulu, and it's about this case. Well, it's a story about her life, really.
Well, the show's been out for a while.
From what I've read, is that the Act doesn't really follow... Like, it follows the key points of, you know, what has happened, but, like, it didn't happen the way that they've portrayed it in this movie or this show.
Yeah.
But no, Gypsy is wanting to sue the chick who made it because, like, she tried to get in contact with her and was like, here, can I help you, give you some pointers on what has happened? Because, you know, it is her life. Who other would know? Yeah, exactly. But, and this chick is not responding back to Gypsy, or at least I've read. I have not read it here to this day, like this current time.
Well, just like any TV show or movie, all of the true events are gonna be a little splurged.
Dramatized.
Yeah. So.
Well, we shall see in this lovely time.
But the show is actually really good.
It is. It's really good.
It's a very
Joey,
good show.
what's her face? I don't
Joey
know her
King.
last. Is that her last name? And then Patricia Arquette do a great job.
Oh my god, there's nothing Patricia Arquette's in that's not good.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I know.
You're not.
I know. It's a very dark and twisted. It's a very dark and twisted story. And when the story came out a couple years ago, I had actually never heard of Munchausen by proxy.
I've never heard like this story until, oh man, I watched this maybe, or no, I think I known about it before.
Yeah, because I think I've known about it since Gypsy Rose was convicted in 2016. Yeah. I think that was the first time I heard about it.
Yeah, maybe that's when I heard about it too. Because I remember, psychology class of mine, I believe we talked briefly about it.
About the Munchausen by proxy.
Yeah.
But we are going to get into the story and the events that led up to Dede Blanchard's
death.
Demise.
Untimely departure. Dede has been making stuff up about Gypsy ever since she was born, basically. Making people believe that, you know, she had muscular dystrophy, she had leukemia, visual and hearing impairments, like to the point to where she was saying she needed a feeding tube and a wheelchair because she couldn't walk because of the muscular dystrophy and all this crazy nonsense, right? Which is, you know, as a parent, I mean, I can't say it because I don't have children, but you would think as a parent you want the best for your child. Like, you don't want to do that, and it's just crazy to me how somebody can do that, you know?
Well, didn't she went through chemotherapy?
Yeah.
For the leukemia?
Yeah.
And I don't
and radiation,
understand.
I believe.
Do what?
And radiation. Yep.
What I don't understand is how she got the treatment if they found nothing. Did they not do tests on her before she went in for the chemotherapy and the radiation?
Well, and you would think they would test her blood count because leukemia attacks the white blood cells, doesn't it?
That's very poisonous, especially if you don't have that cancer.
That could end up killing her.
It kills cancer patients.
Yeah.
If you don't have cancer and you're putting that poison in your body,
Yeah.
Gypsy's mom also made her use a CPAP machine for apparent sleep apnea.
Okay. For a tiny girl, that seems weird, especially since she's not overweight.
A ton of unnecessary surgeries on her eyes. She had her salivary glands.
Sure. And I don't even know why she had those cut out anyway.
Her mom said because of her illness that she had a problem with drooling. She couldn't really see. She had apparently something wrong with her retinas, or she had glaucoma or something.
Okay.
Wrong with her eyes, that she had to have multiple surgeries, unnecessary surgeries. And due to all the medication, and I'm pretty sure the chemotherapy and the radiation
had a really big part into play.
She had to have all of her teeth removed.
Yeah. Because I'm sure they rot.
Yeah, they rotted. They all rotted.
Yeah.
And were no good.
And she even said in an interview that I watched one time that she didn't want her teeth to be out because she thought that she would be ugly.
But they had no choice because her teeth were so rotted because of all the medication and the chemo and the radiation and all of that.
Yeah.
Had rotted them.
Exactly.
To the point where they were going to start getting infections.
Yeah, it's like she probably get gum disease.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's crazy. She would constantly take Gypsy to the doctor for any little thing. Like if she had fallen or stuff like that, she would constantly take her to the doctor and think that something new has formed. And it got to the point to where anytime that a doctor would run a CT test or a blood test or just any sort of test, and then they'd get the results and they'd be inconclusive, they'd start to become skeptical. And they're like, well, maybe we need to do this test or this test or this test. And by that time, Dede was like, no, I'm out of here.
Peace out.
She'd go and find these different doctors. And what I don't get is you would think you would remember something sketchy like that. And so, I'm sure doctors have other doctor friends and they would talk about it. Mm-hmm. And I get the whole confidentiality thing, but, you don't have to say a name. You can just my patient.
Aren't they mandated reporters?
Yes,
though?
they are. Yep. Any medical professional is.
Some of her family members, when they started questioning Dede because they were suspicious on why she needed the wheelchair, because they didn't think that she needed it. So apparently they must have seen her get up out of the wheelchair and walk, or just something didn't seem right. And when they brought it up, that's when she moved.
Well, I mean, if you see older videos, you can tell when she talks that she seems perfectly fine. And, I get looks can be deceiving, but...
Dede wouldn't let Gypsy talk during her doctor's appointments, and she made everybody believe that Gypsy had this mentality of a 7-year-old. So she basically made people talk dumb and down to Gypsy.
And then I believe, didn't it? It got to the point to where, that wasn't believable anymore, so she would go into these appointments and hold her hand and squeeze her if she was starting to talk too much.
Has said that in multiple interviews, that if she said something wrong, Dede would go everywhere holding Gypsy's hand. So if she said something wrong, or she was talking too much, or she said
something that didn't make the lie believable, that she had a 7-year-old
her hand
mentality.
And actually later on, when they would get home, she would beat her, deny her food, give her medication to make her sleepy. Dede had nurses training, which made it easier for her to describe symptoms for the conditions that she would say
that she just,
or she would make up that Gypsy
just started out of nowhere.
Yeah, she would also be able, that would allow her to be able to give Gypsy medications in order to
invoke the
bring
symptoms.
On the symptoms for the conditions that she said Gypsy had. Which is crazy, because you would think, even in nowadays, parents are so reluctant on giving their kids medication. And Dede was just making Gypsy down these pills.
Any pills she could get her hands on.
Like they were candy. Putting more and more medication, mixing medication that probably wasn't that great. But because she's a nurse, she, I guess, kind of figured it out and knew what to do.
Which would make it easier for
especially
her
with
to give the
with the feeding tube and knowing how to
give
make
the
the
doctor
food.
a idea of what she wanted, I guess. And what gets me is how no doctor caught on to that. Like, oh, she has this. Well, she's bleeding from the ears. She's got pink pupils. She's got whatever you can think of that could possibly be that way.
It is a disease or a mental disease. She wants sympathy.
Yeah, I guess so.
And the attention.
Like, it got to the point to where she had burned all bridges with any doctor in Louisiana, to the point to where she ended up moving to Missouri, saying that, like, when she moved to Missouri and she went to see a new doctor, they'd be like, well, can I see Gypsy's medical records and stuff like that? And she'd be like, well, I can't give them to you because they were all underwater. We were hit by Hurricane Katrina, because around this time was when Hurricane Katrina hit. And so it got world news found out about it, and Habitat for Humanity built them a brand new house in Missouri, free, for Gypsy and Dede, due to Dede having to take care of Gypsy and having a
sick child with all these different kinds of diseases and ailments, and that sympathy, that attention.
It's ridiculous. Like, Habitat for Humanity does wonderful things, and it's just for somebody to try to play the system like that is ridiculous.
It's a shame that they possibly took away more resources to somebody who actually needed them.
We're going to fast forward to Gypsy's early teen years, where she goes and sees a doctor, and this doctor comes to find out, like, Gypsy is showing major evidence that she has Munchausen syndrome by proxy, and this doctor becomes skeptical but never reports it.
Which, again, they're mandated reporters. He said that he didn't report it because he didn't think a hunch was enough evidence. Well, even if it's not, wouldn't you rather report it and it not be anything versus not reporting and it's actually what you thought it was, like now, and somebody loses
it could have been
their life.
this whole thing could have been prevented.
Not placing all or any of the blame on that doctor, but if they are mandated reporters, even if you have a hunch, it's worth it just to speak up and say something.
Exactly. And then in 2009, I guess a doctor did report it. A doctor reported it to the police, and then so the police and DCF went and investigated.
Oh, yeah. They actually did touch on that in the show.
They did.
They showed up at the house. The social worker showed up, and Dede was, playing the nice mommy, always there for her child.
And it showed in the movie that she would give her meds to make her sleepy or drowsy when they would come over. Yeah, that way
so she wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
And put on a Disney movie, because Disney movies are her favorite.
Exactly.
But that's all she would allow her to watch.
Right.
To keep that 7-year-old mentality to her.
Yeah, to make it more believable.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know if it's true. Gypsy really hasn't touched on it other than, that she would give her meds. So it makes me kind of led to believe that actually did happen, because, it wouldn't surprise me. She's taken her halfway across the states to get more medical attention for things that she doesn't even have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Dede constantly lie about Gypsy's age and tell people that she was younger than what she actually was, and she would go as far as change her birthday on her birth certificate.
In 2011, Gypsy wants to go to the sci-fi convention so bad.
They touched on this in the show too.
So bad. She finally convinces Dede to take her to this sci-fi convention where she meets a man who she runs away with, basically. She runs away with him, and when Dede, like in the middle of the night, Dede gets up, finds that she's gone. She calls everyone she could possibly think of until they happen to find, or she comes across a mutual friend that they have with this man. She gets the contact information, basically, and shows up at this guy's house, right? And she convinces this kid that Gypsy is underage, that she's a minor, and that he could get in trouble for even having her in his home.
Forces her to go home with her.
Yes. Forces her to go home with her, and then come to find out in recent time that she was actually 19 when that happened.
Of course, naturally, once Gypsy and Dede get home, Dede ties Gypsy to the bed and denies her food. As she would every other time Gypsy would get in trouble, she would also at times hit Gypsy. I know in multiple interviews, Gypsy has said that she would hit her with a wired hanger, would deny her food, of course, medicate her.
Well, and it got to the point to when they got home that night, while she was tied up to the bed, Dede smashed her laptop. Sometime later, she finds another source of how to get online. She had gotten online and she decided that she was going to get on this Christian dating site. That, you know, she was going to find her a man.
Christian mingle.
So she gets on him. Well, she meets this man named Nicholas Godejohn. And we will come to find out soon that he's actually, I guess, her savior in his eyes.
In disguise. Gypsy confided in Nicholas and told him everything, told him what Dede was doing to her and just all the dark things that were going on in her life, and had requested or asked Nicholas to kill her mom. That there was no other way that they were going to be able to be together. She wouldn't be able to see him. Because I do believe that Dede actually banned Gypsy and Nicholas from seeing each other.
We fast forward to June of 2015. Nicholas buys a ticket from Wisconsin, where he lives, to go to Missouri, where Gypsy lives. And he takes a knife into the Blanchard home and stabs Dede times.
I believe she was laying on her stomach and he stabbed her.
Well, because she was asleep. It was dead of night. Nicholas contacts Gypsy to let her know that he's arrived. She lets him in.
Gypsy actually had left the door unlocked. She texted him that the door was unlocked.
And she went and hid in the bathroom while this happened. So, while she was in the bathroom, Nicholas was killing her mother in cold blood.
Stabbing her.
So, once the killing is over, Nicholas claims that during his testimony, that after they were done, him and Gypsy had sex in her bedroom, and then they left for Wisconsin. So they get to Wisconsin and they stay with his mother. And then I think about a week later, Gypsy decides that she's going to post on her and her mother's joint Facebook account, "This bitch is dead." Or "the bitch is dead."
And that's the only reason they were caught.
Yeah.
Because they traced that IP address back to...
Gypsy claims that she posted that because she wanted someone to find her mother's body. Makes no sense to me whatsoever. But
yeah, they wouldn't have gotten caught if she hadn't have done that.
Yeah.
I don't think. I don't know. Maybe they would have. Maybe they wouldn't have. It's a 50-50 chance. After the case became public of Dede's death and Nick and Gypsy conspiring to kill her, friends and family that were close to her didn't understand why she didn't come forward and just expose Dede and all of her lies and just stand up in public and show people that she could walk. But you also have to remember she was, in a way, a victim of abuse. I mean...
Yeah, some very extreme abuse.
Both physical and mental
and then
abuse.
You have to remember, you know, this is the only thing she's ever known. Like, she's
Her
always
mom
afraid.
Has always been the one there for her, has always been the one that's taking care of her, especially since he also believed that she had all of those diseases and that her mom was the only one that was taking care of her.
Her mom talked a doctor into putting a feeding tube in her stomach. Talked a doctor into putting chemo treatments
and radiation
into her blood. You know, I would be scared too. I'd be afraid to do anything, because what if the next punishment is just more severe?
Well, and Gypsy actually said in an interview that she really did wholeheartedly believe that she was
a cancer survivor?
That she was a cancer survivor.
Wow, yeah. In 2016, Gypsy pled guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. But she's up for parole in 2024. As far as Nicholas goes, he
wasn't actually convicted until 2018. And he got life in prison.
And I believe it's without the possibility of parole.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, we're not sure about that.
But it was also said during the interview, all the interviews and the trial, Nicholas and Gypsy had mailed the knife that Nicholas used on Dede to his parents' house. So they mailed it back to himself.
Yeah.
The bloody knife, the gloves, everything.
Basically all the evidence that could convict him of murder.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I mean, she could have gone, could have gone a way around
different
it.
Route of
for sure.
handling it.
She didn't have to kill her mother.
In a sense, she still did have a very immature way of thinking. She had an immature brain. She didn't get to go to school. Her mom
didn't get to use her brain to the fullest of working each different load. She didn't get to mature
it. She never got to mature it, because I don't think... what was she, like 24 when she got arrested?
I believe so. And she thought she was 19 or something like that. So,
I mean, in her mind, that was the only way of taking care of it, because let me put it this way. The best way that I heard of it being put together was Gypsy knew that in reality, her and her mom could not coexist with each other, because it was a very toxic relationship. She loved her mom literally to death.
Yeah. So
she would never go against her mom, and the only way that she knew how to keep on living was if Dede was dead. There were so many opportunities for a lot of people to speak out and maybe bring it to Gypsy's attention that they believed her, or, I mean, It's easy for us to sit here and say that you should have done this and point the finger and say, you should have said something, you should have done this. When you don't know what we would have done in that situation.
Yeah, and what's sad is the truth only lies with two people and one's dead. I mean, like,
you have
different
one side
of a
the
story.
Truth.
Yeah.
Although, I don't think Dede would have told the truth.
Probably not. She's so jumbled up there.
I mean, apparently this disease it's not as uncommon as you think. There's a lot of people that have the Munchausen syndrome or Munchausen by proxy.
Right.
And it's very hard to notice to notice the symptoms and to notice when it's actually the Munchausen by proxy, because, I mean, they're taken care of fairly well in the limelight, but behind closed doors, you don't really know.
Exactly.
Well, that is it for this video. Again, we are not medical professionals. This is just our unpopular opinion about the Gypsy Rose and Dede Blanchard case.
And then, of course, if you like these type of videos, let us know. We'll
give this
try to make some more.
Video a thumbs up, like, the video, subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.